It's time to open up our Commissioners meeting for September 4th. And the first item on the agenda will be public input. Anybody from the public have any input? Seeing none, I guess we will move along to our agenda. We will be looking at minutes, non-public minutes to release to the public. Today in the non-public session at 9:15. We may start that early. Howie Chandler is here, will be here for the nursing home. And we'll have a work session. And why don't we
Minutes?
start with the minutes? And we have minutes for August 28th.
I see the minutes from August 21st are also here. Is that just the corrected minutes?
Yes.
For the minutes of August 28th, are there any corrections?
I have one I'd like to see. Michelle, I'd like you to add, if you would please, Commissioner Babson contacted a man who'd been
Where are you?
into jail and had him turn his life around.
Okay,
And I'd like you to add something like, and who's become a model citizen in the county.
I'm sorry, where are you?
Page 3, well, I don't have mine on.
Page 3 at the top.
Okay.
And had in fact turned his life around, who was willing to speak to inmates about what it really takes to accomplish this very difficult.
I'd like to put in there something about and become a model citizen in
Okay.
Carroll County. The young man has done a fabulous job. We ought to be noting that and encouraging it.
All right, how do you want it to read?
Commissioner Babson contacted a man who had been to jail and had in fact turned his life around and become a model citizen in Carroll County, period. He asked him if he was willing to speak to inmates.
Become a model
Citizen in Carroll County.
citizen, okay?
And he asked him if he was
Okay,
willing
you
to
got that?
speak to inmates.
Okay,
That's all I got.
all right. Your motion?
Thought you made
The
one.
page 1.
Oh, you got a
You
correction.
said that minutes were missing, including some from 2013.
Yep.
I bring in the one from
Some are missing.
2013. Everything what I type, what I issue, I can issue again. I did bring some minutes in from 2012 and 13, what I gave for correction and never received, and I issue another one again. So nothing what I typed is missing.
At that time, the minutes were missing.
So we have gotten all of the minutes from 2013 now?
Some, I
Non-public?
see some I'm not approved from March, what I gave a while ago, I brought it here. And I have from May downstairs.
You have some,
I have, I have a set from May.
Why don't you bring them up?
Yeah, bring it up in a little bit.
okay. So what
So I
you,
make a motion to approve the minutes of August 28th as corrected.
and that correction is Mr.
Commissioner
Babson?
Babson made the correction.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on the minutes? All those in support of approving August 28th Commissioners' minutes, say aye.
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 Then so voted. Do we have any other minutes to bring up this morning?
I have the redactions from the non-public minutes, which you could probably just look and see if they're
redacted as, you wouldn't have to discuss them, you could just look at them and see if the redactions are what you wanted, and then you could get through that lot.
I'd rather do that in
Yeah,
a public session.
Alright.
Yeah, let's do that non-public.
Okay,
And what minutes did you redacted from which years?
well, that little bunch that we got, it's various years.
Okay.
Okay. So, clerk, are we all up to date on our minutes now? All approved?
We need to, I think, I brought a folder with me, what we still need to approve.
Okay.
And the minutes, what you have there redacted, what we're going to release. Want to make sure that those are the approved minutes, because we cannot release drafts.
Can't we release
We
one?
cannot release drafts minutes.
Okay. Any reports to be given?
Yep,
You got one?
yeah.
All right. Commissioner Babson, you're on.
Monday was the buffet, the Labor Day buffet at the nursing home. I came up. Mr. Brown would be very proud of me. The county didn't pay for my meal. I purchased 2 servings of corn chowder, and he'd be even more proud of me that I ate the first one with 3 gentlemen at the table, and refilled the container to take that one home, so the county taxpayer didn't quite spend as much money. Mr.
So you
Brown-
paid for your meal?
I paid for my meal and used 1 cup for 2 servings, so Mr. Brown will be very happy.
Okay.
But in a more serious vein, as you know, Mr. Chairman, I've been concerned with the entrance policy at the nursing home, as has Stephen. And I guess one of the few things we have in common. I sat there with 3 gentlemen. One poor soul couldn't communicate, but the other 2 could. And one of the things when I do this, I try to find out where they've been before they got here. One of them told me he'd been a long-time resident of New Durham, and the other one said he'd come here from Boston. And I stopped to see Howard about that yesterday, and he was gonna look up and see what the records are. I just don't think
So
it's right
are
that
they-
we've got a resident of Carroll County for 40 years sitting over at Sunbridge in Wolfboro, waiting to get in, and we're taking, the gentleman from New Durham had been here 2 months. The gentleman from Boston, I don't know how long he'd been in the nursing home, but the lady's been been on the number 1 on the waiting list now for over 2 years at here. It just bothers me, and of course, these gentlemen, and I don't know whether they could have dementia and can't remember, but I'm just relaying what they told me.
I think there ought to be more of a detailed investigation as to why. There may be extenuating circumstances as to why this person you're talking about hasn't been admitted, or hasn't been changed from some other nursing home. The point, I think, is that this person is being taken care of in a nursing home. We pay for her just like we pay for anybody else, whether they're in our nursing home or somebody else's nursing home. And there may be good reasons for why these other 2 gentlemen were admitted. I think we need more further information as to why they were accepted over Carroll County residents.
Well, I said to the gentleman from, who seemed to be very lucid, I said, why are you up here and not in Strafford County? You're from New Durham.
Yeah.
He said, well, why would I want to go there? Oh, I couldn't get an answer out of him.
How long has he been here?
He said several months.
So since that new nursing home was built?
I think so, yeah. That would be my guess. Anyway, it just, when you go to these luncheons and breakfasts, this is the kind of information you find out. Maybe there's a good reason for it, and maybe there isn't. But I'm bothered by the policy we have over there.
Okay. Point well taken. Anything else to report on?
No. Well, yes, there's Tonight, there's a twilight meeting the co-op puts on out here. It's going to be on vegetables, and Olivia has done a project on Brussels sprouts and tomatoes and I think cucumbers. And so that, I don't know what time.
That'll be held here?
Yeah.
At the maintenance building or here in this room?
No, I would guess it's a maintenance building because the project, the experiment is out in the field by the blueberries.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Commissioner Kenney, do you have
Yes.
anything?
About 2 weeks ago, Commissioner Sorensen had a meeting at a nursing home. After that, you came in the office and said you had a meeting with the attorney. I think anytime we hire a private attorney, we need to pay for our own attorney. And if it is county business, I think it should be brought up to the board. Is that correct, that you said that you had a meeting with an attorney?
That's correct.
Okay. When there was a complaint filed from a person from the jail?
Actually, I stand corrected. It was not an attorney.
Oh, okay.
It was an investigation officer from Strafford County.
Okay, because when there was a complaint filed from someone from the jail, and I had to look into who's going to look into it, I talked first to Strafford County. And then later it was decided we're going with Belknap County.
I guess I just don't understand. What is the issue here?
Yeah, what's the point?
No, Commissioner Sorensen said 2 weeks ago he had a meeting with an attorney. I assume a private attorney.
He wasn't
But
an
it was,
attorney.
yeah, that is what he told me.
Yeah. I thought he was, but he wasn't.
Oh, okay. Now it makes sense.
Anything else to report on?
No.
Okay. Howie? You got some good news to report. I know we've seen it in the paper, and I guess we heard rumors. And you emailed us saying that you had a terrific survey, so we're waiting for the report, and do we have an official one yet?
We do not have the official, we don't have anything back from the state yet. If the state is true to form, their written report is usually more favorable than their exit interview. So we're actually cautiously expecting even better news, which would be wonderful. But even at its present situation, we couldn't be more pleased. And to that end, thanks really go to, especially to Becky in all of our health services, because about 80% of the inspection is focused on that component. But it goes beyond that to activities, MDS, housekeeping, laundry, facilities, dining, social services, medical records, business office, infection control, restorative office, and even the therapy part that we contract out for, we treat as part of our departments, one of our departments, and are inspected as such. And they all did great. I mean, it's a true team effort, and it's worked out extremely well. What was unique and wonderful this time, and it's unusual both for the state and for an organization, is that nobody got nervous or upset. The state inspectors were in good humor, and the staff didn't do what many staffs oftentimes do, is get so nervous they create problems. We've created a culture where we're inspection ready, every day of the year, because we have to be. It really is unannounced. We don't know. We know they're going to come in within about a 10-week period.
There's a range, yeah.
A range, and they were 10 weeks early. So we were, not that we were taken by surprise, but it was a lot sooner. It was 10 weeks earlier than last year. And so we were a bit surprised, and especially when they showed up with 10 people. When you see an army walking in with briefcases, 2 or 3 of those people, 2 people were in training, and there were also 2 trainers, so it sounds worse than it is. And then 2 people came later in the week. I think we had a total of 12 people that went through just about everything that we do, and it all went well. They had interviews with resident families, with residents, with staff members, and everything went very, very well. So quite a change, and a pleasant one at that.
Well, good. That's great news, and you deserve a lot of credit for having that team approach.
I'll tell you, it is a great team.
Mm-hmm. Also deserves a lot of credit. Everybody over there, I guess, that was inspected or had a survey done on them. deserves a lot of credit, especially when it's unannounced and it comes early. But that's what we expect at our nursing home. We expect everything to be top-notch all the time.
Well, and it should.
Which is what you said, they come early and it's just another day at the office, and apparently it went well.
You know, it's somewhat anecdotal, but in terms of the number of regulations and rules that we have to comply with, it's second only to what you'd find Seabrook being
Mhm.
inspected at. We actually have more rules and regulations than hospitals do. Hospitals are fairly focused. We have federal, we have state, we have clinical guidelines, we have all kinds of rules and regulations, and it can seem daunting, but we have it down to a science now, so,
Mhm.
and it's proven its worth.
Well, I hope you have shown congratulations to the staff over there for doing an excellent job.
Well, we have, and that's an important
I'll hold
point.
that though until I see the final report. from
Well,
the state.
but we didn't want to wait, so we started the next morning with donuts. We had later the next week a sub, a sub party. Also wanted to make sure that it went public enough with letters to the editors in both papers, and it did,
Mhm.
so that the staff know that it really is as a result of all the little things they do. Because, truth is, it only takes a single staff member to make a seemingly simple mistake, whether that's not wearing a hat in the kitchen, not wearing a gloves for a procedure, not knowing where the fire exit is when asked.
Mhm.
I mean, every single staff member can really be put on the spot, and the state inspectors aren't shy about doing that.
Mhm.
And in each time, they met with great results, which is wonderful.
Great.
Other things that I
Any
have for
comments
you.
from other commissioners? Go ahead.
Yes. Howie, I just explained about the discussion we had yesterday about the two residents. But I was really impressed with the Labor Day brunch. It seemed to be, there had to have been 40 or 45 residents there. They were all being taken care of very nicely, the ones that couldn't take care of themselves. It's just nice to see that they're happy and they love to be in this building that we've got here.
It is that the level of resident satisfaction is tremendous. But I actually have an update for you on that discussion that we had.
Okay.
With thanks to Lisa Delisle and especially to Lisa Howard in Social Services, got a list of our 10 most recent admissions. And of that group, of the 10, 8 came from Carroll County. The 2 others had a son living in Carroll County. And I mention that because we want to be sure that periodically, and I'll never be offended by being held accountable, that we look, are we doing what we say we would do, which is to serve the residents of Carroll County.
Mhm.
We developed a policy that included, as long as the primary family were in Carroll County, to treat it essentially as the same. And I'm pleased to say that we're doing that. So that while those 2 gentlemen might have referred to having lived elsewhere, I'm assuming at this point they are the 2, and it is actually two gentlemen whose sons live in Carroll County. So they might have come out.
I'd like you to follow up further on that if you would. You have 8 that were from Carroll County.
Correct.
Is there a way to determine how long those 8 have lived in Carroll County? If you moved here a month and a half ago before you got here, I don't consider them a resident of Carroll County.
Well, we can check that. That's not contained in the information we
The
have.
type of information I would like to have, and I think that's important. We've got I thought we put in that policy that we accepted a
Time period?
time period of being called a resident of Carroll County, just to prevent the person that comes up with their children and stays for 2 months and finds out the kids can't take care of them, and then over here.
That a minimum length of residency wasn't included in the policy. It was discussed at different times in terms of, should greater preference be to, at what point do you get greater preference? I would assume that it's fairly safe to say that everybody that's come in has been a Carroll County resident, except for the 2 with families here for easily over a year. But that's something we can.
Would you check that out,
We
please?
can check that. It's not, and I'm asking this because I'm thinking of what we need to track on an ongoing basis. Is it close enough for us to be able to determine if it's a year or more, or do you want actual years? That's going to be a little harder. but it's gonna be easier for us to
Well,
determine.
if they've been here a year, I mean, I matched up against somebody who's been here 40, no, I wouldn't call them a resident, but a year is enough to satisfy my,
Yeah, I think so.
they
too.
just
Okay.
get here in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and after 5, the kids find out they can't handle mom at home, and so they send her over her, and she gets to be called a resident. I don't buy that, but a year I'd give you.
Okay, a year's gonna make for an easy screen for us to do.
My concern is, at what point do you accept a person from another nursing home outside of Carroll County that may fall into the categories of a resident? They may have been a resident here for 3 or 4 years,
Or even a
but
resident.
couldn't get
in a-
into our nursing home because it was full. They needed to go to some nursing home, so they put them in another nursing home outside the county.
Or even in this
It may have
town.
been a county nursing home, or it may have been a private nursing home. But at what point in time do you accept that person into our county nursing home?
And that ends up being a quandary, because a major factor of the order of consideration is the need component. You have somebody who can't safely, somebody who lives down the street who can no longer safely live in their own home. They've had,
That's not the question. They're in another nursing home and they're being taken care of, meeting the needs
Right.
of that individual.
but those are the two people.
But they want to come to our nursing home because it's closer to the family, that they don't have to travel way down to Strafford or Rockingham.
But here's the dilemma. If you're the admission coordinator and two people are in front of you, one who's in a nursing home in Rockingham or down the street
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and the other person lives down the street here, but just had an episode, a heart attack, something else, has to do something, can't live in their own home, and they need to do something, and we have one open bed, who do you give that to? And that's a very difficult challenge. This person's in critical need for needing to do something. The other person wants to
being
be
taken
here,
care of.
but is safe. And now, we never want to say that because somebody's in another, and we have certainly taken people from other nursing homes. So we don't want to say because you're in a nursing home, you're not eligible, but it's always going to be a matter of, at that particular time, where is the greatest need? And something that we need to look at is, we don't want to punish somebody because they made that decision to go someplace else. While their need might not be immediate, they still have need, they're still a county resident, and we need to find a way to be able to incorporate them into the mix.
David.
Go ahead.
Well, you make a good point, Howard, but.
You're not on trial here.
No, well, no, but
We're just asking questions. to
That's
see if
quite
we can-
all right.
How do you justify a person who was told May 2.5 years ago they were number one on the list and they're still not here?
Because of
I
the
mean,
need.
there's a time in there where, yeah, okay, I'll buy your reasoning, but at some point, the person they actually had lived here for 40 years and they had to get into a nursing home and there was nothing here, so they went to a private one. Now they're trying to get in here, and 2.5 years later, after they've been told they were number one 2.5 years ago, they're still not here.
Well, and now we also get into some of the politics. What about somebody who, when they have a choice, goes to a private place, spends their money, and then comes here when they don't have money? At what point is that the obligation of the other facility as opposed to this facility? It does get complicated, but I think we need to take a fresh look at the particular situation that you're talking about, because I think that's an outlier, and I think there might, we need to look to see if there's something specific we need to do there.
Now, let me ask you another question. If an individual is a private pay in another nursing home and wants to come here, wouldn't there be some feeling that perhaps the private pay is paying more money, so we may make it look like that person might be a distraction if they go over to the county?
Well, and here we've pretty much taken the position that we're looking, the ideal mix, payer mix for us is what we kind of agreed on, is 25% private, 10% skilled or Medicare, and 65% Medicaid, because we have a responsibility to the residents that are there, but also to the taxpayers who are paying the bill. And no money, no mission, we want to have quality of care, so having a component of private pay. is important, but we don't want to have that, we don't want that to drive the bus, but it's an important seat on the bus. So we do try to keep a payer mix.
But that's not my point, Howard. My point is, if you're a private nursing home and you have a private pay person in your nursing home that wants to go somewhere else, and they're privately paying, and obviously they're paying more than Medicaid's paying, is it stupid to think that maybe that private pay institution may not give a perfect recommendation for the individual?
Oh, they'll be upset. They'll do
That's
whatever,
the point I'm getting
they'll
at.
do whatever they can to hang on to somebody.
That's the point I'm making.
And then it's the responsibility of the resident and their family to decide. Now, this has not been an issue in the past. It's going to become a growing issue in the future because, quite frankly, we have the best place and the best care. So if someone could afford to pay privately, they would be, in my biased estimation, crazy not to want to come to Mountain View.
Yeah.
Private room, better staffing ratio, better inspection reports. They'd be crazy not to be lined up and knocking on the door. The reason they're not is that many people haven't realized that we're in a new facility, and there's still, for some, a bit of a stigma of ever suggesting that they need to go to a county home. And that's an image thing that we need to work on, but we're not going to work on it too much because we're not trying to sell ourselves. You know, right now we're maintaining the appropriate percentage. When we want to be sure that we're taking care of those who need it the most, both in terms of their health and their finances, so that we're meeting the historical mission of the county home.
No matter how you do it, it's a hard job to decide who comes and who doesn't come. There's so many different situations on an individual basis that somebody has to make that judgment, and it's your responsibility, I guess.
Well, it
Or
is.
the people that work for you.
It is, and it gets even complicated because some people have some health situations that would be different, that would not be appropriate for us to manage. And because they're receiving it in another nursing home, maybe appropriately, maybe inappropriately, doesn't mean we have to be sure that we don't promise that we can take care of everybody all the time. Some people with dialysis, some people with special needs, special medical needs. We're not the most appropriate setting. We don't have ventilator therapy. We don't have some things that others do. I think we have what we need and what's proper for us to have. So I don't think we just can't be everything to everybody. So
Okay.
sometimes people are actually declined on health reasons. One thing that we do try to help out locally with, and we're proud of, is that when somebody's in a hospice situation, because there to defer an admission is really to deny an admission. So if somebody's out there no longer able to live at home and might only have a month or 2 months to live, they, for functional reasons, really kind of go to the top of the list, because then it's an opportunity to help them. And that's important, because if they had to go someplace else, there's no opportunity for transfer back.
Okay,
Yeah, can I say something?
go ahead.
That is good news, Howie. You and your staff are doing a great job about the annual survey. Is it correct that any time they can come in and check in the books?
Anytime.
Okay.
In fact, it's typically once a year. In the old days, they used to try to do it twice a year, but that was a long time ago. It's pretty much limited to once a year now.
Okay.
Other things
Okay, go ahead.
to bring you up to date on, census is 102 with 6 skilled. I've submitted 2 grant applications. They actually had September 1st filings. 2 $5,000 grants, one to Scruggloo Farms for a therapeutic garden. Whether or not will be considered or not, don't know, but some raised gardens for out back, and we seem to meet the criteria perfectly, but whether or not they have the money or whether we're a priority, I don't know. And also another $5,000 request to the Bald Peak Community Fund, for which we've received some very positive early feedback. No decision's been made. But thanks to the family of a resident, Russ Slingsby has been loaning us his golf cart. And we've been experimenting with it's just a 2-passenger golf cart. Residents have loved it. And so with that in mind, I've used that grant with the idea of buying a 6-passenger or the community fund now is suggesting maybe we'd be better off with 2 4-passengers, and we're not gonna argue either way. So we should have some news within a month on both of those. We've reached a settlement with.
To me, anything that gets the residents out of the nursing home, looking at the surroundings, the environment that we have around here, I think is great.
It's wonderful. I mean, we have the farm. But you think you're going to Boston and back. Just getting people around the campus here.
Yeah.
They come back, and the guys especially. It's turned out to be very therapeutic for the guys to be able to get out and see the country, even if it's for. We're really just talking 10-minute rides. It ends up making a big difference. We have reached a settlement on the construction. We've had a long and nagging problem with carpet installation quality.
Right.
And that has been settled. The carpet people stepped up. I mean, truth is, they stepped up higher and further than I would have thought. So, I'll be coming back to you with a proposal for how we're going to actually, for options for dealing with that coming up. But the nice part is that's been agreed to.
Mhm.
I want to be sure that we didn't lose that opportunity now that we're coming up to really in just a week or so, the second anniversary of moving in. We need to wrap up construction things pretty quickly.
Mhm.
This was the biggest thing that's hanging out there. Bob has one other one relative to sidewalk, rising.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, I'm not as optimistic that there'll be settlement with that, but we haven't given up on that yet. But this one actually resulted in money coming our way. Will result in money coming our way. Flagpole lighting, we got finally got the proposal for that today, and Bob is negotiating with that. So I'm hopeful that by the end of the month we'll have a light on the flagpole. Although I have enjoyed taking the flag down. Most days I take the flag down and usually enlist the help of either Becky or a resident to fold it, and it's actually been, while the weather's warm, that's a good job to have. November could bring a different story. Told you about admissions, and the last I come to you with a request for funding, and I'm recommending the use of construction bond funds for 2 separate items. $15,000 for essentially landscaping for creation of a pad at the back, and also for utilities to go to each of the 2 courtyards. And also another $15,000 under furniture and furnishings for 10 additional resident lifts. We continue to find, right now we're actually down 2 lifts. We borrowed the one from therapy. And that we're finding that it's not just with our long-term people, but even with new people coming in, that's becoming an issue. The reason for going with 10 is that we believe that the window for our being able to buy these refurbished units at about a 50% discount is quickly closing, because that's a limited supply.
10. You just bought 3.
What's that?
You just bought 3.
We just bought 3, and we need immediately another 2. And now we have been able to get them at the refurbished price, but the supplier is no longer able to guarantee that those are going to be available in the future. With a 50% savings and paying $1,500 a piece instead of $3,000 a piece, and being able to take it out of the bonded indebtedness at a rate that we could never match, would seem to be a mix. If we went more, if we bought 20, we could even get a further 10% discount, if in fact they have that many units still available. And that might be better, but there was a sense on the part of the commissioners that might be a little overzealous in terms of pre-purchasing. But 10 would not be an outrageous number. And so looking for commissioner support for essentially a transfer of $30,000 to do the landscaping component and the furniture and furnishings component.
There's no problem with the garden and the landscaping. That's an item that's in the budget for the bond. The lifts would be a little different. And, as long as we have money in that bond, things like this are going to be eating away at that. The delegation, I think, is hoping that $1 million is left in there to refurbish the old nursing home, at least put a roof on it and so on. So I don't think there's any problem with the landscaping. I think we need to discuss the issue of the lifts as to where we go with that. Seems like, my understanding was that that would be an ongoing expense in the budget on an annual basis to continue to purchase lifts. On the other hand, I like to save as much money as we can, and so it looks like it's a good deal if we can get it for half the cost, even though they're refurbished. You haven't had any problems with those that we've gotten that were refurbished?
And they come with a new unit guarantee. They come with exactly the same warranty as if we bought from the same same provider, a new unit.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I think at this point with our supplier, if they're being honest, running out of refurbished units, and we can save $1,500 a unit, at some point we're gonna have to purchase these because one lawsuit for a back situation is gonna cost us a lot more than the lifts are gonna cost us. I would think we'd snap up at least the 10 that you need right now, and perhaps even more if we can get the delegation to go along with it. I don't see any reason to sit back and let these get away. You're getting a new unit warranty, so you can't ask for much more than that.
If we approve the 10, how many would you have in the nursing home? How many lifts?
I think that would bring us up to around or about 65. We'd be
65.
We'd be. I think that would put us a little over half. That number I need to check with, because I think we started out with 25%, which was light, but that was also prudent at the time. No sense spending money just to have $3,000 ornaments in a room. So you made the right decision in doing it incrementally. It's the speed of our. Given that we didn't have them in the old building, that was a great way to test to see whether the 25% would be used and whether more would be needed. So it was a wonderfully prudent approach. And given that there's money available, these are the things that you, at a different time, would have furnished the entire building with.
Mm-hmm. Well, with that said, we did put the track in all the rooms for that reason, that at some point in time, other than moving a lift from one room to another, a portable type thing, I think the goal was to have lifts in every room.
And that
it saves our help, their backs. And to the benefit of the resident, a lift is probably the best way to go.
And putting those tracks in as you did, they're far more expensive to put in, and not even easy to put in after the fact.
Yeah, and more costly. Yeah. So, Commissioner Babson, do you want to make a motion to?
I would make a motion that we at least snap up to 10 that we're talking about right now, and if possible, with the approval of the delegation, we pick up the other 10. Is that what you're saying you need?
That would be ideal, and it would also secure us an additional discount.
Okay.
So we're
Well, we got a problem here. Are they going to allow us to discount if we take 10 now and the delegation isn't going to meet? Again, apparently they're not going to meet because they're not ready with the performance audit materials. They're not going to meet till sometime mid-October. Or can you put a hold on 20 units? What kind of a deal can you work with these people?
Well, if we're really working in that direction, it might make sense for us just to buy what we immediately need, because there's no price differential, which would be 2 or 3. And if they're meeting in October, and then because the 10% savings represents $150 a unit, I mean, that's an extra $1,500 we could save by waiting. So it might be prudent. Now, but I mention this because it all has to do with, not with need, but with budget, in terms of, we've already exceeded the budget for lifts, so we're dipping into uncharted territory, because if the delegation does approve the transfer from the bond, then it's an easy matter, then the nursing home budget is protected. If it doesn't, we have a problem, that we would never exceed budget without commissioner approval.
Well, I'll second it. for discussion. Are you saying that we need to go to the delegation to approve an additional 10,
Well,
more so than what we're talking about right now?
That's what it appears to me, if we're talking about going over the budget. The first thing I'd do is I'd call the supplier and see how far we can stretch them to wait, and if they'll wait for the 20 units, then whenever it is, October 9th or 10th or 12th, whenever that is, we can, shortly thereafter, we can order them. If they won't wait, then we're gonna have to buy 10 right now, so that we at least get the $1,500 saving.
So Howie, you just mentioned it is not about need now, it is about the budget.
Correct.
So
We-
you
we
don't,
have-
it is not really urgent at this moment that we need to have the 10 lists now. Is
We
that
don't need
correct?
10 right now, we really need to have 3 right now, to put
Yeah.
one back into physical therapy, and put one in a room and to have one in reserve.
But it's really already discussed, that was in the budget or not? Do
Well-
you have that in the budget?
We've already bought 3 or 4 this year already, so we've exceeded what we thought we would
Budgeted.
have a need,
So you're talking about an extra 3, what you need right now?
Correct.
Okay.
So I guess what we're talking about doing is saving 50% on the lifts. Rather than waiting until later and buying them, we can buy them now and save 50%.
Correct.
And we do need, as far as the need is concerned, we do need 2 or 3 right now,
Correct.
okay? Any
And-
further discussion on
And
the
the
motion?
7 are extra, eh? The 7 are extra.
The 7 represent what we would probably need
Yeah.
next year at a savings of 50%.
Any further discussion?
I'm not comfortable in not trying to work the supplier down to some kind of an agreement.
That's
They're
on
dealing with the government, and they ought to know that the government can't say, it isn't like a private company that the board of directors could say tomorrow, yeah, buy them. We have to deal with the delegation, and I'd like to see you beat on them a little bit, Howie, and see if we can, what kind of deal you could come up with. I'm in favor of buying 3 right away and 10 right away, whatever we can do, but do you think another week won't make any difference? Could you report back to us next week what's the absolute best deal they'll give us for these units, and then we know what we have to go before the delegation for?
Because I'm optimistic. I have to believe that I can get him to sell us 10, and then if we buy an additional 10, to essentially give us the discount on the previously purchased one. 'Cause that's still a big order. Times are slow. People aren't building new nursing homes, so.
Will you find that out and bring that back next week? And then
Definitely.
at the very least, we can order 3 next week to cover them. We won't be giving away any money that we might be able to save.
So you want to table the motion?
Yes, let's table the motion.
Table the motion until next week?
Howie,
Okay.
there is absolutely no money in another line item that you can.
Well, what we've done is we're effectively looking at the other line items to support this computer upgrade.
Okay.
So we already came to the idea that we're going to try to steal from everywhere we can to.
Steal isn't a good word.
That was a perfectly awful choice of words,
Just.
to allocate from other accounts monies to support the
That's a
computer
good-
upgrade.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
And
Thank
we
you.
have no problem with the garden because there is money in the budget that's dedicated to the landscaping. And
Do you
there's
want-
still money left in there, so.
Now, is that an endorsement to go forward with a formal to prepare a
Yes.
formal proposal for you for prices?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll, because I have some rough prices to be able to come up with that number. I will get some definite prices for you now.
Okay,
And that is all I have for you.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, at this point in time, then we will, I saw the county attorney come in, but she apparently didn't need anything. Do you, Lynette, do you have anything for public?
Just non-public.
Non-public, okay. Then we'll move into work session. We're a little bit late, but that's okay. What do you have for
I
work
get
session?
about 7 items. Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. The first one, as you know, the 3 of us received an email from Representative McConkey wanting to have us provide him or his committee with all the written procedures, or I guess that had to be written procedures, that we have to do with the business office. I wrote him back and I told him that I thought we should do, that the committee ought to figure out what they want, come in, and we would show them where the materials are and let them pull out what they need. Because we really don't have the time with the workforce we have down there so busy to be chasing around for stuff that the committee may not, the audit people may not need to begin with. Mark, Representative McConkey emailed me back and said what they're looking for. The more I thought about it, I think it's too early. They haven't even picked an auditing company to do it, and I would think it'd be up to the idea of a performance audit is to find out how we run things. I would think it would be up to the audit company to say this is what we need, and then at that point we've got to pull it out.
So excuse me, where did the email went? Let's go to the commissioner's email.
It went to you. You were one of the three that were on there.
Oh, it went just, okay. And when was that again?
I don't remember. It was last week
Was it
sometime.
It was over the weekend.
Over the
last
weekend,
week?
yeah.
Over
It
the
was
weekend?
Sunday. It was Sunday, I guess.
Last Sunday? I didn't receive anything.
Well, your name was on it,
I
because I
got
read
it.
it went to the three commissioners.
I didn't get it.
My understanding was they needed this information to write up an RFP in order to put it out to hire a company to do the auditing. To me, it's the wagon before the horse. I tend to agree that the auditing company is the one that needs this information. Is it my understanding, Commissioner Babson, that they're looking for job descriptions and
Procedures,
policies?
job descriptions, it really was any procedure that we had. And I said, you want to know how we fill out deposit slips to the bank? Do you want to know how we do other things? And so then he wrote back and said exactly what they were looking for. But I think it's the audit committee's, audit company's responsibility to tell us what they want.
The procedures, you said any procedures. Is it maybe any financial procedure?
No, any procedures.
Any procedure.
What we do have available that I can think of right off the top of my head is we have all job descriptions. That's easy to come by.
But are the
And
job
we have
descriptions
all
up to
of
date?
the policies that we have approved for harassment and all those that are in a handbook that we have approved. Those two things,
Union contracts.
he wants union?
No, I mean, that's the problem. He said procedures. What's he want? He wants union contracts. He wants what we've got downstairs. He wants us to write some up, the things that we're doing that we don't have any written procedures on. I just think it's too early. Let the company, why do they need it for a request for quote? They're gonna tell them this is what we have available. You're gonna have to hunt for the rest?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's premature.
Well, let me put it this way. That information is all public information.
Right?
Anybody can request it. In this case, the committee is requesting it for the purpose of writing an RFP. I think it's too premature myself. On the other hand, we have that information available. It wouldn't take any time. We've got that handbook, and we've got the job descriptions, so those two things,
We'll give them that.
we can give them.
That doesn't
Right,
take
and-
any time at all.
And anything that Kathy would have in a, or Kathy have in a policy book that they have on how they do, whether it is depositing, whether it is, timekeeping, or whatever they have already in place,
Mhm.
we could provide that for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, any procedures that
Right.
And, you
already
know,
have.
Anything they have.
basically, the commissioners follow what the RSAs say we need to do. For example, putting things out for bid that's over
Mhm.
$5,000. the clerk's responsibilities, and whatever else is in here regarding how to run county government. So it's the RSAs that they should have readily available. They're down in Concord, they can come up with those. So I would suggest that we give them those two items that are readily available, job descriptions and all the policies that we've adopted so far.
And then also anything Kathy might have as a procedure on internal financial type controls.
If it's readily available.
If she has any that
Yeah.
are already
Okay.
created.
Well, we got some from Howie when we were asked about the procedures for the cafeteria and what they do with their money, so he's got some.
Yep, and we got it from the sheriff's
We got it
department.
from the sheriff's department.
When is the company from Portland starting to do also an audit in 2011 and 12?
Say that again?
When is the company from Portland coming in to do the audit?
Oh, I don't know.
From 2011 and 12.
It's interesting, this morning, I just thumbed through this, and
From which year is that?
better bidding, I forget where I had it now. It's regarding an audit, and it's,
We got quite a variety of bookmarkers there.
I know. Well, I can't find it right now, so we'll move on.
Next,
Go ahead.
may I ask Gwinnett a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Gwinnett, would you do us a favor, please? We're gonna discuss car costs for the next couple of seconds. Could you, at some time during this work session, bring us back a copy of the new, the Mellissa and you, that copy for non-public sessions and the correct procedure? Right? We only got one copy and we need one for today.
Oh, I've got one here
Do you have
somewhere.
one? So if we have, we can fill it out. David, you'll never find it.
I know.
No,
Yeah, that's it.
is it? Oh, yes, it is, okay, thank you. The next thing I had, in signing the checks and looking at the invoices every week, one of the things that stands out is the amount of money we spend to maintain our vehicles around here, the sheriff's department, jail, and the farm. And one of the things we ought to think about is what we could do to perhaps reduce costs. We use 3 or 4 5 different places for the sheriff's department. I don't know where the jail goes, I can't remember. But it's a large figure between tires, lube and oil, any kind of small mechanical work that has to be done. What can we do to reduce the costs?
I hate to tie it down to one place. On the other hand, when we add those all up, if it's over $5,000 in a year's time, it has to go out for bid. So one way of handling that is having an RFP go out to all the maintenance garages in Carroll County and have them come in for a bid for changing the oil, for filters,
Well,
the
David,
general maintenance type things that add up to over $5,000.
well, let's talk about the practicality of that. Yes,
Yep.
that's what the law says, but let's hypothetically say the low bidder is from Bartlett. Everybody's gotta drive their car up to Bartlett to get it maintained. That doesn't make any sense.
So
I would think we-
then you're gonna limit the bidding process by mileage.
Well, I
Even if
guess
it's
we
a
could go out,
savings?
we could go out for bid, divide the
First of all,
county up into the 3 districts that we come from and put out a bid in each one of them for the,
we don't have to accept the lowest bid,
no.
number one.
In this case, the lowest bid may be the highest bid because you may be driving, maybe to Wakefield from Bartlett, who knows? But we've got to find, we deal with 3 different auto parts places. We ought to be able to get a better,
Mhm.
some kind of a better discount from We obviously can't tell them what parts we're gonna buy, but we can give them the average quantity over the last 5 years. It might give them an idea what they could be generating in revenue. But I really think it's something we ought to look at somehow.
Okay.
My next question is, the Belknap residents that we have here at the jail.
Oh, yeah.
So he was gonna go back and talk to the superintendent over there and settle on a fairly decent price for
Yeah.
for 3 through 10, 3 through 9, 3 through whatever we have. So I talked to Jason, that's taken care of.
I did read in some of the minutes where, depending on the time, it was $110 a day for an inmate. And depending on the number of inmates and so forth and the budget, it could go up or it could go down. The last one I heard was $80-some, $85 or something a day. So that's flexible, but, so he's looking into it.
So, yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna check out on that. And last week, we asked someone to talk to the courthouse about mowing the lawn in front of their place. Did that get taken care of, and who was supposed to do it?
That I don't know.
Well, who are we gonna get to do it? We get Kathy to write a letter
can
and the
get-
3 of us sign it?
We can get Kathy to write a letter, and it goes to the state.
Well, David, why don't we try first right here local? They have their own maintenance crew over there. Let's see if they say no.
I don't think they do.
Well, who
It's
does
all
all the
controlled,
work?
it's all controlled by the state, by the state office. And I forget what the term, what the organization is, but we can find out what it is.
Okay, well, I'll take the responsibility for that. I'll call down in Concord myself and find out. Okay with you two?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I also got a call Sunday morning from the organization that was interested in looking into rehabbing the nursing home, the families for the in transition and the folks from Wolfboro. And as I suspected when they did the numbers, it just doesn't make any sense to them, and they pulled out.
They backed out.
Yep.
Okay. Along that same lines, we did get a letter of intent from probation.
Right.
It was on my desk this morning, so there's
Is
one.
Is that Chuck person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is probation interested in a win? What are they
And
interested in?
it's just a letter of intent saying that they're
Okay.
interested. Their contract runs out in January of 2014. What else you got?
And the last one is the non-public minutes we released. Did they get up on the website?
I don't know.
The ones that
Well,
I
how-
was redacting?
Yeah,
No, I've got it with me today.
you got them, and we're gonna talk about them in non-public.
Yep.
For final release.
Should be.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I was not I'm really speaking about the individual minutes. I was talking about the chart. Did the chart get up on the
Oh,
website?
I don't
Well,
know.
you were going to compare it with your notes to make sure that the data was correct.
Okay.
I have it physically with me, and I have an electronic copy. If you're satisfied that it's ready to go,
I am. I'd rather take what you do than me.
okay, all right, yeah, it's ready to go, then I can
I've been known that.
transmit it to Cheryl. I can hook onto your network and send it by email, because it's going to be released, so that's
Yeah.
okay to send it by
Okay.
email. Yeah, I can do
Yeah.
that today.
Commissioner Babson, didn't you state that there was no provision to go into non-public 91A?
There was what?
The what?
To talk about as non-public, they just stated that last week.
I'm
That
sorry, I don't
we're going
understand what
into
you're asking.
We're going into non-public session for the non-public minutes, but there was no provision, you said, to go into non-public on the 91A.
No what?
Provision to go on the
No
91A.
provision to go into 91A to review non-public minutes?
That is what he said last week. Didn't you make that comment? That we need to
yeah, I'm
release-
sorry, Commissioner, I know what you mean now.
You said
Yes,
we-
I said that I didn't believe keeping the chart after we've had a chance to look at it really fell under the 91A
Okay.
exemptions. You know, we weren't libeling anybody, it wasn't talking about welfare, it wasn't talking about a land.
Or names.
Name.
Yep.
Is that a concern of
Okay.
yours?
No, because you said we cannot go into non-public sessions for the few non-public minutes. Is that correct?
No, I said, well, roundabout, I guess, I said, I think we have a right to look them over, but I don't think we have a right to sit on them for 6 months. We take a look at them and we find out whether they should be made public or not, and then if they're not made public, then we keep them. If they are, they go out. The chart was what bothered me. We had to get the chart finished before we could put it out, and as soon as it was finished, we put it out.
I think the point is that in order to release non-public minutes, we need to talk about them, and the only way to talk about them is in non-public. Whether there's provisions or not, I don't know, but we can't talk about them in public. Okay. You have anything to
No,
Add to
not
the
at
work
this
session?
point.
No? I got two things. One, we agreed last week, and we can sign this. This is an abate, this is with Hales Location, and I'll read the letter. It's in regards to an abatement. This letter is in reference to the abatement application you submitted for 17 Falcon Way, Hales Location, New Hampshire. The reason for the abatement was based upon the purchase price of $525,000, and the market values are lower than and disproportionate to current assessments. After review of the property, the assessors have recommended a reduction in the assessed value from $627,200 to $586,600, which reflects an adjustment of the grade and condition applied to the house as well as the sketch. Your abatement has been granted the amount of $184.73. And this is to be signed by the Commissioners. Do I hear a motion again to approve this and that we sign it?
I'll make a motion that we approve the letter to the Hales Location individual concerning his abatement.
Okay, I'll second it. Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye. Aye, okay. And so voted. And it's a place on here for each commissioner to sign.
Do we have another
Okay,
work session? No.
you got two places to sign. One there and one on the front cover.
Lynette, are you gonna discuss our discussion about channeling email?
Yes,
We're
I
gonna do
actually
that.
just, when you started talking about that, I wrote a note about that email, the commissioner's email.
Well, you know, that's not non-public.
Yep, exactly.
It is non-public,
It
or
is not non-public.
Then we better have her discuss it.
Okay, the other item I have, back a while ago, there was a question regarding Richard Moulton, which I have a letter here from Primex that, and I'd like to read it. It went to Mrs. Gary, but it's in regards to Richard Moulton's claim. Enclosed, please find a copy of our payment screen and the release of all claims, which represents full and final settlement and release of all claims regarding the above captioned matter. Pursuant to RSA 91A-4-6, minutes and records of available for public inspection, which is attached for your review. These documents must be retained on file at the County Clerk's office for no less than 10 years from the date of settlement. Please contact me if you have any questions or concerns. And this came from Primex.
I have a question, too. Is he saying we can release those, or we can't release them?
Well, the release of all claims which represents full and final settlement
Right.
and release of all claims regarding the above captioned matter,
Next paragraph, it says they're included here, something about.
which
that.
is attached for your review. These documents must be retained on file at the county clerk's office for no less than 10 years from the date of settlement.
Does that mean they're exempt from 91A, or they fall under 91A?
Well, I don't know the answer to that, other than that
Let's
we
find
can
out.
release the name and we can release the amount of settlement. And the amount of settlement was $3,000. And it was done on June 30th. Oh, wait a minute. The start of this apparently started on June 3rd, 2011, and the settlement was for $3,000. And I think that's what we reported last time when the question was raised. Anything else to be?
Can I see that for Primex
Yeah.
letter?
Lynette, you have something you wanted to
I
say?
do. Sorry, I didn't bring it up before when you asked if there was anything else. With regards to the commissioner's email, that one email address that goes to the computer that's here
Yeah.
in the office, from what I understand, there's the only access is the three of you, and that it does not get read on a very frequent basis.
Well, you get on it
Yeah,
almost every
read-
Wednesday.
Yeah, I read it.
On every Wednesday.
Yeah.
That
And if
meaning
I-
that if there were things that were of a timely essence, that they are not being addressed.
Yep.
And asking the commission if they would approve Cheryl being the person that could go into that office, open that computer, read those emails, and determine what needs to be immediately dealt with on a once a day basis.
You know what, we had a discussion about that, and we said that the 91A should go to Kathy Gary or to the HR, because we are once a week here. Because you have 5 business days for that.
Right,
So I
where
think that
Cheryl is the administrative assistant to the board, it would
Mhm.
make sense that that's what her job is, to go through those emails and whatever needs to be distributed to all or any one individual that it's addressed to, that be taken care of on a daily basis. And with a backup in case she happened to be on vacation.
Mhm.
But it just seems like for those timely things, that needs to be addressed. And where Cheryl is your administrative assistant, it would make sense for her to be the person to read through and just distribute as necessary.
Well, I strongly, support that idea.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
And why don't you
Especially-
agree?
This is the commissioner's email, this is for the commissioner's review, you don't know what we are getting. I don't think that any employee, even if she's administrative assistant, should have access to it.
So if something comes in that has to have a deadline, and it comes in on the commissioner's computer, and we're not here, what happens to it?
That's
What's
why
your alternative?
You need to read your emails, and I believe that Mr. Rich set it up, that we can read it any time.
From your own home to log on to that, you can do that, but just finding that that's difficult and not a very.
Oh, I never do that.
I'm not gonna do
I
it.
always read it.
We just,
Don't. I read
everybody
it.
and their brother copies the commissioners, and
I
I don't
just
want
read
to
it
clog my
here.
computer up with email. I'd rather have
I read it here when I come.
Cheryl.
I don't
But,
know
well,
what
that's-
is.
That's the issue, is that if you read it when you come here, and some of you only come here on Wednesdays, that is sitting there for a long period of time. And if it is things that are of a highly important matter, that they.
Needs to be addressed.
They should be addressed.
If it's,
And if there are other meetings, I'm here too. And sometimes I'm not only on Wednesday here.
well, I have said to others that any information comes to me, goes through Kathy Geary at that time. because she can get a hold of me. I don't have to be here to go on the computer. So if Cheryl is the one that should be doing this, I have no problem with it. It's got to be handled some way, and
better than we're doing it.
then better than what we're doing it. And that seems to be the best way right now until we come up with something different.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we have Cheryl and somebody else be a backup to Gailey.
Kathy Gary,
Um,
or HR, or who
I-
should be the backup?
I mean, it's whatever you desire, but Kathy Gary is pretty
Busy.
bogged down with lots, and then when auditors are here, and, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes it gets a little bit busy. I mean, it's totally up to you. I mean, Deb Newland has a confidentiality agreement. She could be the backup only when Cheryl's on vacation or if she's sick. I mean, if you wanted me to, I could. It's just, I have plenty of other very, very larger items to be working on with negotiations and budgets and so forth coming up. But it's at your pleasure, whatever you.
Well, as far as a backup and Kathy Gary being busy, it's just strictly a backup, and I don't think it's going to happen that often.
Mhm.
Cheryl should be able to do it most of the time, except
And then
when she's on vacation, when she's sick.
And Kathy would be right there knowing that if she's sick, she would
And
know.
no, yeah.
Right.
Whereas if it goes to your office, they're not going to know whether Cheryl is out or in or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
So shall I continue
So I would
my
suggest,
motion?
what?
Shall I continue my motion?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
I make a motion that we have Cheryl and her backup read the commissioner's email on a daily basis and report to any commissioners or to the board anything that needs immediate attention.
Second it. Any further discussion?
I oppose. I think the place when I got here is dysfunctional, and I think it's getting more dysfunctional. I think it's wrong.
Okay. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
I oppose.
You
I
oppose?
already said I
Okay.
oppose.
Well, when the vote is taken, that's when you need to express your opinion or desire.
More shenanigans
So the
going
motion
on.
passes, so it will go to
Unbelievable.
Cheryl to look at our email, and then we'll have a backup for her when she's out. And she can report to us whenever there's
Unbelievable.
something of importance that comes up. Okay, settle it? All right. Okay?
Yep.
Anything else we need to bring up in work session?
Nope.
Did you, about 3 weeks ago, we got a letter from an individual who had a complaint regarding a deputy speeding by his vehicle, that he was concerned about. I don't know whether it almost ran him off the road or what the situation was, but I gave that letter to you. Did you follow up with the
Yes,
sheriff's
I
department?
went to the sheriff's office. He was not there, and I called Santuccio, and I didn't get any phone call back. And I have the letter, John. I can go get it. Want me to go grab the letter?
No, you don't have to get it. I just wanted to know whether you had followed up with the sheriff on it.
Okay, I will.
So we continue to do that. And somehow, we need to respond to that individual that wrote a letter to us.
Yeah.
Did you have your hand up or something?
Nope.
No.
But I believe, didn't the sheriff's department get a letter too? We just got a copy.
We got a
So they
copy,
have- so
but I
who's-
think it's our responsibility too, to look into the matter, to find
Okay.
out what the situation is.
Want to make sure
Who's
at least that
involved?
there's some follow-up.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the work session that we need to talk about? Okay, seeing none, then we will,
Yeah, the last thing, about the audit from Portland. Do you want me to call the company and ask them?
no, Kathy Geary, check with Kathy Geary.
Oh, is she going
Because
to call them?
she brought that up to me last week, as to who the company, that it was the company from Portland. And so I'm sure she's been in contact with them.
Okay.
Okay?
I believe their response said how long it would take.
Now what?
Their response said how long it would take for them to do it. I don't remember it saying when they would start.
Okay. I guess maybe at this point, before we go into non-public for the rest of the morning, we will open it up for public input. Go ahead, Ed.
I'm not ready.
I had a phone call from a viewer of the meetings, and they had a question. They wanted to know if the 91A request to review the non-public minutes is only to see if they've been sealed properly or not, why is it being done in non-public? Like, why couldn't the public view you checking each one to make sure that it's been sealed?
We did
And
that.
then releasing, but it's being done in non-public. His question was, why is that in non-public to do that operation if you're not discussing things?
That's the way we did it. And now we're going into non-public to release some of those that should be released.
So then you.
That's my answer.
Do you agree with the viewer that it could have been done in public?
And the whole thing is a project that has cost us a lot of time, has prevented us from doing other important work. Yes, we probably could have, but we were gonna jeopardize people. I personally will take my chances with you taking us to court, that we read the thing before we let it out. Once we've done it, it took us, was it 4 days or 5 days to open it up? You want back from 5 years, I don't know what you expect to gain from 5 years of non-public, whether you'd rather hurt somebody emotionally than so that you can say that you opened up a 91A. We're moving ahead, we're trying to do it right, and we're not taking any chances, and so we did it this way. And you can tell that to your viewer if he's not watching.
He is watching, and I commend that you're doing that properly, because the historic record should be secured for future reference, and that should have been something that was already done. So it isn't really a waste of time, you just transferred the time to the future, because it should have been done correctly.
Let me clarify something, and that is, we're doing the clerk's work. The clerk is responsible for keeping and storing those records. And we've had to go through from 208 up to the present to review those to make sure that we have or we haven't got what we're supposed to have.
I don't
Okay.
know what you mean with doing the clerk's work. I was not on board 2008, 9, 10, and I didn't do the minutes of 2008, 9, 10, and 11.
Okay, let me quote what the,
I don't believe the commissioner, the chairman, mentioned any names, he just said the clerks.
according to RSA 28-2, the clerk shall keep a record of the proceedings of the commissioners, the claims allowed by them, the annual report of the county treasurer, and the proceedings of the county convention, and shall keep on file in a county safe all original papers, claims, and accounts acted upon by the board. So that's what we're doing.
My
Okay.
final comment is about the lifts. Would it not be a better idea to get as many as we can with the 50% off, with the possibility of selling them to other counties that may also need them?
I think the comment was made by the administrator was that there's not too many nursing homes that are being built, and therefore that's probably why they're being refurbished and sold at a discount. But your point is well taken. Go ahead.
I think Ed has an excellent point, but I think Howard said along the way, Ed, and I could be wrong, is that they may not even have enough to fill our requirement, let alone. But if we do get them in there and don't use them, yes, you got a good idea. Let them be known that they can be sold.
Okay?
Thank you.
Melissa?
On your discussion about vehicle maintenance, do you know how the other counties handle that?
Belknap County has their own maintenance. Their county personnel changes the oil and the filters and so forth on the cruisers and any other vehicles. I heard that a long time ago. Whether they're still doing it or not, I'm not sure. That's one county. I'm not sure how the others do it.
There had been some discussion in the past about perhaps maintenance here being its own separate department, so all the maintenance people are working in one rather than spread out or as part of the farm.
Yep.
Is that been given any more consideration, or is
We-
that
We've
still a
we've been
thought?
doing all this work, and we haven't had a chance to look at that, but that was one item that we were going to look at to see if we could
Yeah.
initiate a maintenance department that would be complex-wide.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
still on the,
I didn't know if that had
To-do
been
list.
rolled out and I missed it. It's just,
that and the purchasing department, still on the do list.
okay.
You want to bring that up too, right? Okay.
On the walking trail.
I just want to make sure that I don't miss times when you've rolled something out, so it's still in your thoughts.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's to make us more efficient, save taxpayers' dollars, hopefully.
I just wondered if that might make sense to bring it to the complex, the routine maintenance things I suppose you can't have.
I think if we look at the maintenance on the vehicles and come up with the bottom line as to what it cost last year, or maybe 2 years ago, which we should have records of, then we can discuss it further as to what it really costs. I mean, replace tires and oil changes and so forth. Some of them are done, not
Conway, someone done in Wakefield.
right
someone
here,
down
in
Hopewell.
yeah, and some are done in Wakefield. We need to look at that.
So the performance audit is focusing on the business office
Right.
functions.
And the
but
commissioners, yeah.
Other performance audits I've seen in other counties have focused on the entire complex, and that might be something that actually could be looked at later as a separate, because they were talking about maybe doing the farm or maintenance or other
Yep.
parts of the county, and maybe
That's strictly up to the delegation.
that's something that could be.
According to the RSAs,
Yep.
they're responsible for that totally. We have nothing to say about it.
And about your discussion on the performance audit, if I remember correctly from watching the tape of their last meeting, the purpose of trying to gather all those policies is to cut down on the cost being paid to the performance.
To the company or wherever they hire.
To the company, so that you get more for your money if you do some of that background work ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know,
They've given
paper-
us a flat fee, how is it gonna make any difference?
Well, it hasn't gone out to bid yet, so we don't know if it's a flat fee.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the,
Right.
I'm thinking of the financial audit, I'm
Right.
sorry, you're right.
So, I mean, we don't know how they
Hasn't even
You know how
gone
much
out
money
for
they
bid.
have to spend, but how it
You're
gets
right.
spent. Maybe you could save some money having that done in the background. Because there were some other policies too, like, if I remember, you approved the bidding policy.
Mm-hmm.
Where can that be found? Is that a third book somewhere, or, because you have the personnel handbook
I
and
don't know,
then
do you have that in your
I
office?
don't have that.
Maybe
That should
Kathy
be in
Gary has
Kathy's.
it.
Yeah.
And there were some other smaller policies, I think, or procedures that have passed through
Mhm.
here over the last couple of years that, is there a master binder for those? I don't.
Okay.
And you also had looked at a right-to-know request policy. Has that been approved yet, or is that still in the works?
I think that's in that,
It's still in the works.
it's still in the works? Okay.
So maybe, those might be some of the things.
Yep.
Those are the only two I could think of right off the top of my head. They might
Okay.
have looked beyond. Meeting minutes, the non-public work that you did
Mm-hmm.
in the chart. So it goes from January 2008 until August of this year, your review. There's a lot of minutes missing.
That's correct.
So I just did a cursory review. I didn't, late at night, and I counted the best I could by hand, but I came up with 257 sessions and 88 sets of minutes that are missing. Have any been found since this?
I know in 2008, when Commissioner Webster took the minutes, I believe the follow-up with her was that she left them in her desk top drawer. Now, there's been two commissioners that have held that desk since she left, Commissioner Albee and Commissioner Kenney.
So did she sign it over to a commissioner? What
Don't
did she
know.
do with it?
I don't know.
So she just
It
left
was left in her
She
desk.
just left it there. And
emailed me.
anyone can come in or walk or clean there, and
Well,
it's just
our
there.
office is locked,
So
so
it
you have
is-
to go through the outer office to get into
So
our
it is not properly filed then.
And we've had this
How
discussion
can we just
several.
leave non-public minutes just in a drawer? I don't get that.
Commissioner Babson, you have the floor.
I was just going to say that I wrote to Marge and asked her if she could remember what she did with the minutes in 208, and she said they were left in her desk drawer.
Bottom left front folder. I also talked to Commissioner Webster, and we've done this several times over the last year or so, where other things we've asked about, and we were told that they were left in that desk, and now they're not here anymore, so it's, he said, she said, I guess maybe it's just about going forward and not worrying about whether people took boxes of stuff out of here and just,
I think you're right
Go
that we need,
forward,
that we need to
or-
go forward, but some of those missing minutes are attorney, commissioner privilege type thing, and so minutes would not be taken. The problem is, we didn't record that that was the case.
oh,
But we had a lot of that when we dealt with the jail, with the crack in the wall or ceiling or whatever. That was a lot of non-public minutes dealing with our attorney from North Conway.
yes.
And also, the building committee, when we met there was some with the attorney. So it's our fault. We didn't jot down that it was done with an attorney and no minutes were taken.
Actually, you just told me that there were no minutes taken, sometimes note, because the meetings were held in the office. The commissioners were just sitting there and nobody was coming, and no public was coming. Once in a while, you had maybe Spencer coming, or at that time Representative Babson was going. And most of the time there was no one, and the employees just knocked at the door and they came to talk to the commissioners. That is the way non-public was conducted. That is what the employee who works long here told me.
That's what,
How?
who told you?
An employee here in the office, how non-public was conducted. And Mrs.
Okay.
Seamans did a non-public minutes of 2007 and 8, so I think she can issue another one. And also on the
Commissioner Kenney,
CD.
excuse me, you've accused me of doing non-public. We keep going back 6 years to when I took minutes here. Yes, I took minutes for a short period of time here. I cannot recall any instances where I was in a non-public session here.
Right.
I didn't accuse you of taking the
said I took-
non-public
you
minutes.
just
It's a
did.
fact. It's a fact that you've been taking non-public minutes.
Can anyone show me a set of minutes that I took in non-public
Yes,
here?
Commissioner Sorensen found in his
Not
desk
non-
drawer.
Not non-public.
Yeah, a 2007 non-public session. It's non-public in his desk drawer.
And if I
and
could
except
ask, what do I, if I
2007.
could ask, what do I have to do with this anyway? I wasn't in charge of anything. I was an employee. I know we have a high likeliness of speaking ill of former employees, but, so I'll take that just because I was a former employee, but I don't understand what your purpose is of, you keep throwing that out there. So the
Now,
public.
maybe they
So
said.
the public would know and the commissioners would know, in 2007, I did for a short period of time take minutes when they were in between minute takers. I found my income tax form that showed, I believe I made $734 working here. It was a job, I took minutes, I left. During the time that I was taking minutes here, I was not a full-time employee of the newspaper. I was on the payroll as a county employee for that brief period. So what's the problem?
At
You
2000
keep
Yeah.
bringing it up every time I stand
Yeah,
up
well,
for
in
public
2008, you
comment, so.
took minutes too, and at the same time, you was a writer. Because a while ago, when you were sitting there at the right, and I brought it up, you said you were a writer. You
Okay,
acknowledged
before we go
I
any
guess I'm just
further-
trying to ask what's the point, because she keeps
Yeah.
throwing that back at me, and I don't
Because
get
they
it.
say the minutes are missing, so you can issue it back. If you took the minutes, you can issue it back.
No,
But
wait
also
a
on
minute,
a-
wait a minute. We're-
Also
this is
on
out-
a
This is
CD.
all out of order, okay?
It's not out of order.
Yes, it is,
On
because
a-
I
Mr.
haven't
Chairman?
recognized you. You got anything further to bring up under non-public, under public comment, please?
Yes, I'd like to make one last comment regarding that. If you have, a point, make it. If not, please stop with that line.
Yeah,
Commissioner Kenney, thank you.
okay.
So anyway, so we can go back 6 years. Even if you tried to recreate 6 years ago, Commissioner Sorensen, you were on the board then, but you
Yep.
can't go back 6 years and make minutes.
No,
So
that's correct.
there's nothing that's going to be done. There's
That's
nothing
right.
we can do, there's nothing that can happen, unless suddenly you find a box full of minutes, right?
That's correct.
So, but what do we do about the last year, 2 years, 3 years that are pretty recent memory to
We're
get
not
this
finished with those yet?
cleared off the books? There's, in those 3 years, just like I said, a cursory review, I'm showing 28 sets of minutes that are missing.
In the last 3 years?
Yes.
Okay,
In the last 6, I have 88. In the last 3, there's 28.
yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out where you're going next.
No, it's the same situation, Melissa. It's 2013 and we're moving ahead. Yes, they're not here. I wasn't on the board. I came in here like you did for months complaining about the non-public and the way they were handled. But at some point, you got to realize that they're not here, there's no recordings, there's no minutes, there's no nothing, and we can't do anything about it. So we're gonna move ahead and try to do it right from here on in, and we're trying.
So what about just this year, there's 8 sets missing?
About what?
Just in 2013, there's 8 sets. So what if you just focused on
Of
this year?
non-public?
Have you
Yes.
still got non-public?
According to the clerk, she was
What-
tape recording it until May something or other, and then we had somebody taking notes after that, so they should be available.
What I typed, everything is available, nothing is missing. The 2009 and 10, I gave the non-public minutes, what I had stored to Commissioner Sorensen.
And we had
he
'em?
brought back, no, most of them didn't bring back, you said you didn't have it.
That's
What
not
are we
true.
missing? They were the original one. So you have all of 2009 and 10?
That's what we went through the last 3 weeks.
Mm.
We're talking about 2013. Are there any minutes missing in 2013?
I told you, I have May, I have downstairs, May, and
You
I
have more
think
minutes to bring.
several needs to be approved, probably.
Okay.
Could I just
All right.
can I bring this forward for a second? Because this isn't showing, I just want to make sure I'm reading this right, because it's not showing there's any missing from May.
Then, say that again.
She just said there's some from May that she has to bring forward, but this sheet doesn't show that there's minutes missing in May.
Then your chart is not correct, because there's no, in 2013, there's no, like you said, there were 28 missing? Or is it 2000, what year are you talking about is missing?
2013,
28 missing?
8.
8.
Oh, 8 missing.
Yep. 8 missing.
I have to go check it out.
I just want to make sure I'm interpreting this right. I mean,
Everything what I type, if it is not there, I can
If-
issue it back.
If there's an
So
X
nothing
in
is
this
missing
column,
from
does that mean there's no
2013.
minutes?
No, that means
Yes, an X in the column means there's no minutes.
no minutes,
Okay, if I
okay.
read the key correctly, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is showing January, February, and March, there's minutes missing and then one from July.
Okay.
So I wonder how you get a chart, because we will still comparing notes and go through it.
You were voted to release it as public information.
Yeah, but we were still going through
We
it, but
voted
it's,
to release it as public
we
information.
voted to release it, but it was not released.
Yes, it was, I released it.
It was released.
Yeah, you said you voted to release it, but I got an email, I believe, was it yesterday night? And she told me that you're going to compare notes and see if it is accurate.
Not,
Because-
not last night.
When was it, a couple days
It's
ago?
over the weekend.
Oh, over the weekend, because I asked what she was talking about.
Well, look,
They make a motion to release it, but it was official, the paperwork was not released.
And we
Because
made
we
it very
still-
clear that if there were any
we
changes, we'd
still-
make them.
That's
We
right.
still have to go through it.
It's still a working document, and we're going to find the minutes for 2013. Right now, what we have in front of us and what I have on my desk shows that we don't have the minutes. Now, if the clerk has notes that she can type up those minutes, then we'll act on them and we will fill that checklist off, okay?
But I have to commend you for taking the time to do this.
It's taken a lot of
I know your hand was
time.
kind of pushed because you got a right to know request and that, that forced you to just stop what you were doing and get this straightened out, but
Yeah.
now it is. And I'm wondering if you might keep a checklist from, a spreadsheet from now on.
Yeah.
And then you'll just have that rotating and you'll
And-
always know when you
Got it
need
right
minutes.
here.
And what we're going to do is we will, if we go into non-public, the
Mhm.
following week, or when we come out of non-public, we will note in the public minutes that they've been sealed and then approved. So we won't have to do this again
Good.
as we move forward. It will be right there. The thing we'll have to do, though, is go back and see if we can release them.
Mm,
Okay, that will be a continuing thing from,
Sure.
in the future.
But this would help you keep track of it from now on.
Right.
Get it right here, what you gave us, and what it gave us to check
Yeah.
off. and
Okay.
This is the second one.
Yeah, we need to come up with a simple procedure because this what we are doing, going back 8, 9, 10, 11, it's too time consuming.
Okay.
Go back and read.
Seeing there's no
that.
further public input, we need to go into non-public to see if we can release some more minutes. And though,
May I ask to go into non-public under E also for a few moments
have no
before you begin the other non-public?
you
for-
need to go,
Yes,
you have something,
under
okay.
E, yes, please.
In what section?
Section E.
Section E. Okay,
What is the E, is it pensioner? That you're
Legal.
coming from?
Legal.
You're coming for legal?
legal. Okay, so going into non-public for two things. One, section E for legal, and section 2 will be to further look at and review minutes from 2008 through 2010 and release whatever we can come up with within the next couple of hours. Okay? And I guess it'll be on the agenda from now until whenever that we review any of the non-public and release them as we go along, so we don't have this headache of releasing 10 different minutes. We can do them as we go along, okay? Okay, I'll make a motion that we go into non-public for section E of the 91A, and also to review and release whatever non-public minutes we can in the past. That's my motion.
I'll second
Do I hear a
it.
second? Second?
Second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in support of the motion say aye. Then so voted unanimously. Thank you for coming, and see you next week.